What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. This is your NFL Week 7 player projections episode. And of course, I'm joined by one of the most accurate projectors and rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what's going on?
What's up? I was having fun, setting my initial Week 7 projections, and then boom, Devontae Adams traded the Jets, and then boom, Amari Cooper traded the Bills. So that's always fun trying to fit in wide receiver ones like that into a new team.
Yeah, and of course, those were the last two teams they played on Monday night. So
Yeah.
the adults of the data feeds for them come in
Yep.
the latest too. So it should be interesting. Maybe we'll get to one of those guys in our prop. Maybe not.
I'm doing wide receiver props this
Okay.
week. I absolutely have those two guys in
Nice.
our prop.
All right, there we go. All right, so before we jump into quarterback, just want to remind everyone, all of our fantasy football content is available right now over on FantasyLabs.com. You can find all of our award-winning rankings, projections, and more at FantasyLabs.com. All right, top 5 at each position this week. Guys we're high and low on, and then a prop. Start at quarterback, top 5 for Week 7. Sean, who you got?
Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Geno Smith.
Woo, Geno. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah, these raw Tuesday projections. Gotta love it.
I got Daniels, Jackson, Josh Allen, Hurts, and Brock Purdy as my QB5. I feel like he keeps getting slept on. All right. Who you high on? Geno Smith?
Well, yeah, I guess it's Geno Smith, right? He's my QB5. They're at Atlanta this week. He's thrown for 280 yards in 5 straight games. And I expect him to see similar volume this week in what could be a shootout in Atlanta. He's thrown for 1 touchdown in all 5 games. He's due for some positive touchdown regression at some point. With this volume, you'd expect them to get, a multi-touchdown game in there somewhere. Also, he didn't rush for a single yard last week, but he has been tapping his rushing upside a lot this year. He still has, 3 games where he's rushed for at least 30 yards. So I think could all come together this week with the touchdowns, the rushing upside. I think the passing yards will be there. So again, he opens the week inside my top 5.
Yeah, he's it's been a weird year in Seattle. I feel like they want to run more, but they keep giving, like, Geno keeps having to throw the ball like 40, 50 times a game. Yeah. They came into that San Francisco game saying, hey, we're going to run more, and then it just got away from them. But this Atlanta team is another team that could put up some points and put Seattle behind. I'm high on Purdy. So both of our QB5s are high on. I mean, this guy Purdy's second in the league in yards per attempt at 8.8. He's third in passing yards per game at 271.5. And this is with, Debo missing time. Ayuk not always up to speed. Kittle was in and out of the lineup. So, his passing yardage ceiling is probably even higher than that. He could end up leading the league. I mean, you lead the league in yard per attempt. All you need is the attempts. And Kansas City has kind of weirdly enough turned into a pass funnel defense. We're only 5 games in, so that could change. But they're second in DVOA on defense against the run, 12th against the pass. So they're playing pretty good run defense. San Francisco dealing with the banged up Jordan Mason. So this could be a pass heavy game. Or just because they get behind and play with some negative game script. So a lot of ways I think for Purdy to come through this week.
And he's been tapping his rushing upside a lot more this year. I think just the lack of having like Christian McCaffrey back there as a safety valve, I think he's tapping into it. And I've said all along he has similar rushing upside to someone like a Patrick Mahomes. So would not be shocked if he continues to be rushing for 20 plus yards. Maybe until McCaffrey comes back.
Yeah, no, he just moves around a lot in the pocket too. That's the way he gets some of those deep throws off too. It's just running around back there. Who you low on?
Oh man, Justin Fields. He opens the week as my QB 24 against the Jets. It's just a tough matchup. And even though he led the Steelers to another win, and scored multiple touchdowns in 4 straight games. Tomlin is hinting at the idea that Russell Wilson might take over as the starter this week. I still struggle to see how they would do that. So as of now, I'm still projecting Fields to start. But if you have him, I think the best action here is for Fields to get benched this week. They throw Russell Wilson out there. He looks terrible against the Jets. And then Fields is right back to being the starter next week against the Giants. I think that would actually help Fields, long-term value. But it's his value's taken quite a hit in the past 24 hours because of, Russell Wilson potentially taking over. Plus, they didn't trade for Devontae Adams or Amari Cooper. I thought that they were a potential landing spot for one of those receivers. So, I think the short-term dip in Fields' value might help long-term because, again, if they start Wilson this week, they might regret it, and then Fields might be in there next week. So this week, if you have him, you have to start looking for other options, even if he does start, because it is against the Jets. But it's just been a rough 24 hours for him, even though he probably still deserves to be the starting quarterback, in my opinion.
Oh man, you just hit on something. I think Mike Tomlin's a genius. Because remember, I was talking they must have promised Russell Wilson something this offseason. Because Tomlin, he's like, all right, I'm going to start you against one of the toughest defenses, and then so that I can have you can play terribly, and I have the excuse to bench you and put Justin Fields in against a not so great defense in the Giants. So it actually might be just another one of these genius Tomlin moves that you get that Russell Wilson start out of the way, and now you have a reason to go back to Fields and not continue. We have that looming over him. So it's my genius move.
Exactly. Their offensive line has really been struggling. James Daniels, ever since he went down, their center Zach Frazier's out. The only reason they were able to stay in that game is Fields' rushing ability. Like, he was able to escape the pressure and everything like that. So Russ Wilson back there, it might not be pretty. So I agree. I think just throw Wilson out there, have him look like shit, and be like, there you go. There's Russ Wilson. Justin Fields is now our starting quarterback. I think that's probably what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, they were in that game because it was the Raiders practice squad. I mean, it's like the Raiders.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell leading the Raider practice squad.
Oh my God, the penalties though. There are some brutal penalties there. But yeah, that was not fun.
I'm low on Kyler Murray. He's just kind of meh this year. He's 20th in the league in yards per attempt, 23rd in passing yards per game. And he's averaging a career low, 5.0 rush attempts per game. And he's going up against the Chargers defense, which is number 4 against the pass in DVOA per FTN. So not a great matchup. Hasn't been running as much as we want. He's been efficient. He had that long touchdown against the Niners, but there just hasn't been much upside. He's been really falling off after the scripted plays wear off, and now this week you might be looking at Marvin Harrison out. So just not really a great spot for Kyra this week. So he's just outside my top 12. So if I had him, I'd be looking for potential other options this week. All right, what are you doing for the prop?
Let's go with the Drake May passing yards prop. It looked great in his debut, and now he gets to face the Jaguars defense. So this is a fun projection. I'm going to set the line at 209.5.
Ooh, yeah, this is tough. I was on the over last week, and I think he cleared that pretty easily.
Yep.
But Caleb,
and he scrambles a lot. And he still threw for 243. So he did it all.
Oof, that's a good line. I'm gonna go over just because I'm not betting a passing yard under against the Jags. Although Caleb Williams didn't need much to go. I think he only had 226, but that still gives me some wiggle room. So I'll go over. But that's a good line. It's probably gonna be somewhere in that. I would guess the books put it somewhere in that 200 to 215 range on open. All right, running back top 5 week 7. Sean Curran, what you got?
Kyron Williams, number 1, have to. Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley, and Alvin Kamara is banged up. I'll go J.K. Dobbins, number 5.
Woo! Jesus. I mean, I thought I was high on him, and I am.
I had Dobbins +8 ECR last week, and he hit, so screw it. I'll stick with him.
I got Henry. Yeah, no, he's like my RB8 this week. I didn't get to 5, but I do have Kamara still in there. So I have Kyron,
Yeah.
Henry, Kamara, Barkley, and Bijan. I mean, if the Saints have no receivers and no quarterbacks,
Yeah.
I just feel like it's got to be AK, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it is something to monitor. The real question is Kendrick Miller going to ever be activated or active? I should say. Like this guy
Yeah.
Dennis Allen hates him more than he hates winning football games. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no shit, man. Oh, yeah. No, we should have a
Jordan
side
Mims.
bet
Mims
on,
played over. Mims was getting work last week, but
yeah.
Kendrick can't get activated.
Yeah, and he's fully healthy, right? Was he just a healthy scratch, or are they being cautious?
I think he was still technically on the injury report,
Gotcha.
but like he's essentially being a healthy scratch because
Yeah.
Dennis Allen has said so many times, he's just always had these excuses like, yeah, he just needs to kind of catch up, and then so
yeah,
we'll see. It's a short week, so it's not like they can do much that they didn't do last week. So you could be looking at another one. Who are you high on at running back?
So, obviously Tank Bigsby will get the start this week if, Travis Etienne is out, which it's looking like that'll be the case. But I think Dearness Johnson is a sneaky ad. He's still my RB38, assuming Etienne's out. They kind of split snaps last week. It was a more favorable game script for Dearness Johnson because he is the pass catching back. So that, this sets up better for Tank Bigsby. They're at home against the Patriots, but I still think Johnson's going to mix in quite a bit. And he could be like the Sean Tucker of week 6 where everyone flocks to the new starting running back. But, the backup is going to get, or the third string back's going to get an uptick in usage as well. So if you're in a desperate spot, I think Johnson could offer some sneaky RB3 flex value this week, a much cheaper option than Tank Bigsby will be. And then just have to mention him, Tyler Algier. He's my RB31. Still, baffled why this guy's still available in 70% of leagues. He's offering RB3 flex value even with Bijan Robinson fully healthy. So imagine like if Bijan were to miss any time, Algier's going to be an RB1, probably a top 10 option. So he has to be rostered. You can use him this week against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has been pretty leaky against running backs this year, so I think it's a good spot for him. But again, this guy is a must-add in all leagues.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing he was doing with Arthur Smith, just cutting into Bijan's workload. I'm high on Dobbins, obviously not as high as you at RB5, but I got him at
RB8. Where do you have
RB8.
him again?
RB8. Yeah, he's a 13th running back according to consensus at Fantasy Pros, but 25 carries last week. And this Arizona run defense giving up the 4th most rushing yards per game at 153. So with Gus Edwards on IR, it's Kimani Vidal, the rookie, and Hassan Haskins, career special teamer behind Dobbins. So as long as he holds up, I guess they're gonna feed him because that's what we were kind of worried about. Like, would they feed him carries, even with Gus out, just given his history and his of durability and whatnot. But I think 25 carries was a career high. I want to say it had to be because I know coming into the year, I don't think he ever got more than I think 16. So the fact that they were willing to give him 25, and he's got an extra day of rest. Yep, 25 he broke his career high by 8. Wow. His previous high was 17. So, and now he's got an extra day of rest. So could be another 20 plus carry game for J.K. Dobbins like him. And Bigsby, you already mentioned, leads all running backs in yards after contact at 5.9, which is more predictive than yards before. The Patriots are 27th in run defense DVOA. So I like Bigsby in this spot. It looks like ETN is week to week with a hamstring. So, Dobbins, Bigsby for me. Who are you low on at running back?
I hate to do this, but Dave Montgomery, he's my RB23. Tough matchup at Minnesota this week. He's looking like a league winner again this year. He's RB6 on the season, and Gibbs has yet to miss any time. So, if Gibbs were to ever miss time, he'd be a top 3 back easily. So, but this is a rare week where he's going to be ranked outside my top 20 just because, again, this is a brutal matchup. The Vikings defense ranks first in DVOA against both the pass and the run. And this could be, a rare trailing game script for the Lions. So that sets up better for Jahmyr Gibbs. But if you have Montgomery, you still have to play him. Would not be shocked if he salvages, a lower yardage game with a touchdown here. But again, we have to lower expectations just a bit this week, and then he'll be right back, probably pushing top 10 value next week. But this is a rare week where Montgomery is going to be outside of my top 20.
Yeah, he's my RB22. Just because between him and Gibbs, they're splitting carries. It's you can't always project the Lions to get like 30 carries a game every game. In a matchup like this, they may not get quite that many. All right, for me, it's Bucky Irving. He is the 23rd in consensus. He's my RB33, and that's because he's going up against Baltimore. But Baltimore's number 4 in run DVOA. Number 1 in yard per carry allowed at just 3.0. Number 1 in yards per game allowed rushing at 59. And we just don't know what the split is going to be like with Sean Tucker. He went 14 for 136 and 1 on the ground and caught 3 passes for 56 and a touch through the air. So, Rachaad White could even be back in this one. And the coaches said, hey, Tucker kind of earned a role in the backfield when White does return. So this is just a murky situation right now. And the fact that, Bucky didn't just dominate the snaps last week, and it was still a split between him and another back, kind of shows that they probably don't view him as that bell cow. So if he wasn't going to do it last week, it's probably not going to happen in a much tougher matchup. So I'm off Bucky this week. All right, prop. Let's go Bijan Robinson since Algier is the talk.
Careful. You're going up against, the number 1 Algier fan here. So
I know. You know what? We'll go Bijan versus Algier. We'll go Bijan.
Ooh, okay.
All right. I'm going to set the line for, let's go rushing yards. I'll make Bijan a 16.5 yard favorite. Who you got?
Ooh, give me Algier plus 16.5.
All right.
Not a bad line. I have it closer to 11 though.
All right. Yeah, I have it a little higher. But it's looking real shaky. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean Bijan's look great. It's just Algier's one of the best backups in the league.
All right. Wide receiver, who you got in your top 5 for week 7?
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Malik Neighbors, and Drake London, baby.
I got London even higher than that. I got Jefferson, Chase, London, number 3.
Wait. Oh, number 3, nice.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 4, and Malik Neighbors, number 5.
Love it.
Who you high on?
Well, I thought I was high on Drake London. He's my wide receiver 5, but I think we finally have our Drake London breakout. He now has 6+ catches in 5 straight games now, and the underlying usage has been elite. Ran a route on every single Kirk Cousins dropback last week. He's seen a 30% target rate over the last 4 games. Seattle does have a solid secondary. We'll see if Rick Woolen is able to return this week. He's dealing with the ankle injury. So, maybe later in the week, once I factor that in, Drake London will drop out of my top 5. But I'm just cherishing this moment. It's been a long time coming as a Drake London truther, but I think we finally have it. We finally have Drake London's breakout. Speaking of another guy that I think we both love is Michael Wilson. He's my wide receiver 35 this week, assuming, Marvin Harrison Jr. remains in concussion protocol. Typically players do miss, at least 1 game in the protocol. So I think, Wilson's going to step up as the top receiver this week. Again, this is a little bit of a tougher matchup against the Chargers, but I think he's going to see enough volume and has a ton of upside. I love Michael Wilson as a talent where he should offer wide receiver 3 flex value if Marvin Harrison Jr. does miss the game this week.
Yeah, love Michael Wilson as a player. Harrison does have an extra day, so we got to monitor that because there's a chance he comes back. But guys usually are missing a game when they go in the protocol. I'm high on Tank Dell again. He's my wide receiver 18. He's ECR wide receiver 29. Last week, 92% route rate, 28% target rate in the first full game without Nico Collins. Caught 7 for 81 and a touchdown, and now he's going up against Green Bay, and another team that could be a shootout, and Diggs has played more on the outside with Nico out, so could see some Jair on Diggs, which would leave Tank Dell as kind of the guy to benefit from that as well. So like Tank Dell again in this matchup against the Packers, and then Jerry Jeudy. He is my wide receiver 35. He's 53rd in consensus. I'm sure that'll go up because, he becomes the number one wide receiver in Cleveland after the Amari Cooper trade to Buffalo. Elijah Moore also banged up as well. So Jeudy could be a target hog alongside David and Njoku, and Cincinnati is 24th in DVOA against number one wide receivers.
Yeah, the Texans had it was Mechie and Hutchinson kind of split the leftover Nico Collins snaps, and I don't think either one saw a target. So we went from Nico Collins to just two guys running wind sprints. So yeah, Tank Dell is popping in my model as well.
Yeah, man. Who you low on?
Man, I'm low on Terry McLaurin. He's my wide receiver 19, going up against the Panthers. So while he's finally having a breakout season, we knew he would have with a functional quarterback. I would you have to start him if you have him, but I think right now his ECR is in the top 10. I think that's a little bit too high because they probably won't need to be airing it out against the Panthers. This could be much more run heavy game script. So I think McLaurin will be very efficient on lower volume, but I think top 10 is a bit rich this week. So again, you're starting him if you have him, but I'm just lowering my expectations a little bit this week just because I think it's going to be much more run heavy game plan.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 20. That is still a lower volume pass offense, but he's doing what we wanted him to do. He's catching touchdowns now, but top 10 is a little bit rich. I am low on Juju Smith-Schuster. He is the ECR wide receiver 28. Like, what? That one game? And now we're just ranking him as a top 30? Like, this guy?
Just giving him Rashee Rice.
Right, yeah, pretty much. But he only had a 66% route rate without a Rashee against New Orleans. Now, even if I project him into that, 80% Rashee Rice role, his 7 for 130 in that last game is a massive fluke. He ran 29 routes, and that's about fair projection going forward in this offense, given Mahomes will probably drop back around 40 times a game. And Juju has a career 1.62 yard per route run. So 29 routes, 1.62 yards per route. That's about 47 yards. So like that's how big of a fluke that 130. Like he essentially like tripled up his expectations. So I have him as my wide receiver 47. I cannot believe people were ranking him inside the top 30 after just one. And he had like a wide open. There was like one catch he had like a 50-yard gain. Nobody was near him. Like this is fluky, people. Like he might catch no balls and Justin Watson catches 5 this game. Like that's like in the range of outcomes for Juju Smith-Schuster at this stage. So yeah, I wouldn't start him. I need to see another couple games of him productive before I'm plugging him in starting lineups. All right, prop.
All right. Well, let's have a prop with both wide receivers that just got traded. So I'm gonna do who's gonna have more fantasy points this week, half PPR, Devontae Adams or Amari Cooper, and I'm making Devontae a -1 point favorite.
Do we know? Is Devontae for sure healed? Like is
was the hamstring?
If he doesn't play, is I still
live? It's a void. It's not Amari Cooper wins. It's a void. But assuming Devontae's hamstring injury was real, what do you got for this?
I'm looking now. I got Devontae about a 1.3.
Ooh,
so and what are we doing against? That's Pittsburgh though. Let's go Mari.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I just don't know what because like I don't know if Devontae is 100% healed, so like he might even be on more of a snap count. I
think he's fine. I'm not sure which side I want to be on here, but he at least already has chemistry with his new quarterback. You know what I mean?
True. But Josh Allen, he's just gonna launch it You know how he does. He's like,
Yeah,
but yeah, no,
Amari
it's a
Cooper's
good
always
line.
good at getting those air yards. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I mean, they need it, but yeah, it's a tough projection. But yeah, I'll go Cooper just because I think he's at least healthier. All right, tight end top 5.
Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, George Kittle, Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts.
I got Kelsey, Kittle, Bowers, McBride, and Laporta. Who are you high on?
I am high on David Njoku. He's my tight end 10 to open up the week. They're playing the Bengals, and Njoku's kind of been in and out of the lineup due to injuries this year, but he appears to be healthy finally. Ran a season high 67% routes run rate. Would imagine that only goes up going forward, assuming he is healthy. He saw a target on 35% of his routes last week, and now Amari Cooper's gone, so his target share should only go up. And again, down the road, we could see Jameis Winston replace Deshaun Watson, which could help the entire offense. So Joku's back inside my top 10 for this week, and I love his upside the rest of the season now with Amari Cooper gone.
Yeah, he was on pace for a big game. He didn't do much in the second half, interestingly enough. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think he should be in a good spot now with Cooper out. I'm high on Colby Parkinson. He's my tight end 12. ECR has him tight end 22. He's still got an 81% route rate. He's still going up against this Vegas defense that's 31st in DVOA against tight end. So there are some tight ends that, like I mentioned in I think the last pod, they're going to be ranked above him, but he has more routes, and ultimately that's going to be predictive more often than not. So still like Colby Parkinson as a fringe tight end 1. Who are you low on?
Sam Laporta. He's my tight end 11 this week. Yeah. He's only seen a target on 11% of his routes this year. Obviously that's just going to go up going forward, but it's still a decent concern. He still has to compete for targets with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jamison Williams. Having his breakout season, I think, is definitely dinging Laporta's value a bit. Plus, Laporta's caught 92% of his targets this year, so he's actually due for some negative catch regression. And this is just a tougher matchup this week against the Vikings. So obviously, you got to start him if you have him. I wouldn't be too concerned long term about him, but again, having said that, he's still outside my top 10 to open the week.
Yeah, although a lot of the Lions take a little bit of a hit this week, just in a tougher matchup against the Vikings. But I still have to rank him above Kyle Pitts and those guys. So I'm not doing it. Not even gonna get tricked into that. I'm low on Mark Andrews. He's a guy that I was, you talked about him last week. He did have a pretty good game, but I think this concerns still remain. He's only running around 60% of the dropbacks this year, even in the big game, I shouldn't say big game, but decent game last week. Still ran around only 60% of the dropbacks. Over the last 4 games, it's only 47%. So he's just very volatile in terms of the usage, and he hasn't top 5 targets in a game. And this is a guy that really used to get his value from being that lead target in Baltimore. So the fact that he's not seeing more than 5 targets in any game means he has to be hyper efficient. He's averaging 10.3 yards per target, which is about 1.6 higher than his career average of 8.7. It's the highest he's had since his rookie year when he only had 50 targets. So he could be in for some regression efficiency wise. And then that's just going to leave him as like a tight end, middling tight end too. So he is my tight end 20. He's ECR tight end 10. But even in a good matchup, he's just not running enough routes, I think, to be considered as a TE1 for me. Speaking of, let's go with Andrews for the prop, because I know he's going to be kind of the polarizing guy that's kind of on that fringe. I know you were down on him last week, but he did have a good game. I think the concern still remains. So I'm going to set his receiving yardage line for this week at 31.5.
Ooh, well, I have his projection at 31, so his median is going to be a little bit lower, so I'll go under here.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's not a lot of yards.
No,
That's
no,
not
it
a top
isn't.
10 tight end. That's not a top 10 tight end.
Last week I was saying to start to try to sell high. He might go off against the
Yeah.
Commanders, but going forward, the Ravens are going to be in a lot of leading run heavy game scripts. It's going to get worse for Andrews. He really needs Isaiah Likely to miss time to even like sniff tight end 1 value. So yeah, I think after last week, you got to sell high if you can. You'll probably get some sucker to buy back into Andrews right now, but yeah, the underlying usage just is not there for him right now.
Yeah, remember what I said at the beginning of the year after that first game? I was like, Isaiah Likely could outproduce him even if they both stay healthy. Yeah. That's what's going on right now. Likely 18 for 207 and 3, Andrews 13 for 186 and 1. So we'll see if that continues. All right, that's going to do it for our NFL Week 7 player projections episode here on the Fantasy Flex. Make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Flex podcast so you don't miss an episode all season long. Sean and I drop 3 per week. FantasyLabs.com for all of our fantasy football content, award-winning rankings, and projections. And you can use promo code FLEX40, FLEX40, for $40 off Fantasy Labs right now. You can find Sean on X at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free, award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this money.